You could just sign in there and
Hello, my name's Terry Krentz. I own 3 parcels of property, about 5 acres along Abers Creek Road. And I am the first 2 houses past Ross's Bridge that goes into, once you turn on to Abers Creek Road. And I'm here today to just seek clarity. I know we live in a floodplain. I know we made the decision to buy the property. It's beautiful on a sunny day. And in the last 8 years, the storm from the 21st caused the worst damage that we've seen. To the culvert issue that Ross mentioned, that was addressed several years ago directly. My husband and I went up to talk to Raghu about the issue. It's his property. On last Friday, when it rained again, I have pictures, I posted it on the page, the police page, Monroeville wouldn't put it on their page, but I walked up and spoke to the owners in the morning, and they came down and cleaned it up. But to Ross's point, it can't hold the capacity. When I spoke to them, trying to be a good neighbor, and they have been reasonable about it, but I had to ask them to clean it up. There was debris on the road for a couple of days, and I know the road's closed, but Ross is getting to his driveway and walking across to get to his home. We still can get to our driveway. Some of the people are scooty-bootying through that pathway because they live in Monroeville and they know where it goes, but there's still debris further down from our house. So the culvert's an issue. They're claiming it's the runoff from the Turnpike Gardens and it's the culmination of things. So the last thing I'll say on that before I go on to one other thing, please, is that they got approval somehow. We worked with Paul, we worked with Jamie, we have been talking to you guys since we bought the first property, and they somehow got approved to do this logging. And last year, the corner bend of our property is now 1 lane. It still hasn't had any attention. We realize that, quite honestly, my husband and I like it because there's less traffic, because of the cut through that it is, but that still hasn't had any attention. I totally understand the circumstances that everybody is going through, but there are some significant issues that need to be addressed. So they continue to log. The land cannot hold the water, so even if the facilities and the storm pipe and the drain off was working, the land is being, and the land can't hold the capacity. We've talked to the Conservation District too. The other piece of it is, so that we know is an issue. I don't know, should we be suing our neighbors to address the issue? Is there truth behind that the municipality is going into there? Like, is there truth to what they're saying? So that's an ongoing issue anytime it rains.
Excuse me, I wasn't clear what you were saying about the municipality. What was that?
Well, the temple is claiming that it's the sewage or the sewer lines or the drain. The pipes from Turnpike Gardens come into their property, and their property can't handle it, and that's what's clogging up their drain. I'm just saying what they told me. I don't know that there's truth to it, and I'm not an engineer. But
that's the first time hearing that. But
Yeah.
well, that's
no,
what.
we appreciate
That's
that.
okay. It's Raghu's wife, and I can't say her name. I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce
No
it.
problem.
So we did went up, they cleaned it, but it's every time it rains, there's runoff on the stream. The entrance to Ross's Bridge gets washed away. It washes into my first property. Water sits in the yard, it seeps into the basement. I'm hearing all the talk. I'm not an engineer. Is a French drain what I need to do? So part of my request is being in that capacity and being a citizen and being along the streamway that's one of the vital connections to Turtle Creek. Can anybody give us advice on, should we waste $5,000 on a French drain if that's not going to be the solution? Is there any kind of resource? We're on that stream that's a feeder. The other piece to that is, with what Ross described, there are still huge trees in the stream. Those are just waiting for the next rainstorm to come. Part of his bridge that's still collapsed is hanging there. So as the water rises, everything's going to back up, and that's likely why we were flooded to the road. So I lost 9 vehicles, only 4 of which were fully insured. 9 vehicles. So 5 of them are totally totaled with no recon because we only had liability on them, because they're older, but still. Both basements flooded almost to the first floor. Lost the steps off one of the porch on my second house where our son lives. So it was a pretty scary situation. We didn't have to get rescued, but they were ready to take us away. Is there any kind of resources or help? It's a downstream effect from FUM coming into our municipality. Trees have been there for the last year.
We just also had that discussion the other day about
Mr.
the
Mayor,
trees.
may I?
We did talk about
Yeah,
it.
well, Mr. Johns, if we'll let You can finish your comment.
Well, that's
but
all
I-
right. We,
I'd
we just had that discussion along with everything else, and we're in the process of coming up with a way to talk to some of the folks to utilize their property to get in there and remove some of this debris that's in the stream for future rain, because we don't want to try to stop it from happening all over again.
And the challenging part is that the waters of the, no one owns the waterways. They're waters of the Commonwealth, so the DEP regulates them. But if we have, there are some things that we could maybe do if we have access to it through our property, through residents' properties that we can get permission for. But we're definitely exploring that. Now, in your case, in Ross's case, being that area, we could definitely have staff come down and look at things and talk to you a little more closely about.
Okay, well, we've talked to
situation.
the emergency services folks, and I called the Conservation District, and they came out 2 Fridays ago, and they walked the property with us, and they told us the options that are there. So now it's just a wait and see, and that's fine. So we're still in the process. If anybody drives there, it looks trashy. There's trashier than the 9, or there's actually 12 vehicles there before the 9 were lost, or 13, but that's neither here nor there. That there's debris strewn through our field and our acreage. Some of it's ours, some of it's not. We're still emptying out our basement and trying to get the mud out of both homes. So there's a lot of impact to that. So that's our problem, we're homeowners. But that stream feeds into Turtle Creek. And that's the plea to you all, as a citizen of Monroeville, you are too. It's a bigger impact to the community as well as us. So we're just hopeful that there's some additional resources that can help with that.
Is that okay?
Well, Terry, do you have any other comments at this point? Just make sure you got it. You're good
Good
for now?
enough.
Okay.
Did you sign it?
Just for everybody, you all know that I'm on the ALOM board as well as the Boroughs Association. There's a meeting next Thursday just on this issue. I'm meeting with Plum Mayor. Obviously, our mayor will be there, as well as Penn Hills, and we're going to construct a letter from my office, from the county to the governor's office, asking permission if we can dredge Plum Creek as well as Aber Creek. Not real positive they'll give it that, but we're going to give it hell as much as we can. That's next Thursday. In September, we'll make another report. I'll give you another report on that, or the mayor can. But we're trying.
Can I just mention something about that, since he said that? That's great if that could work. In speaking with the Conservation District, they had offered other alternatives too. They had just expressed some other things. I've heard the fire chief talk, and I know there are many opinions. I'm not an engineer by trade, so I don't understand all the complexities there. But if there are other alternatives, we're open in our property line to consider. We're pretty close to the stream, so we don't want to lose too much, but there are places that can work, and that may be a better solution from what they explained and what I understood from a maintenance standpoint and the fees to maintain a dredge stream.
Well, talking to
that
the
goes
mayor of Plum, apparently Plum Creek, he told me it is so filled with trees and other debris, and that backs all the way down into us. And then that goes on further on down,
Yeah,
so.
that's my backyard.
Yeah, well, obviously. So the point being is that we're really trying.
Right,
to-
understood, and that's exactly what the fire chief said.
And again, I'll give you, I'll even post it on our website if that's okay.
Certainly, absolutely, yeah. We wanna get
On
as
what
efficient
we,
as possible.
what we can come up with, so.
Is that something that you're asking us to come to, or you're just
No,
letting
no,
us know
no,
there's
this is a
another
meeting we're
that's
gonna have
happening
to
regarding the
present to the
topic?
governor. And we're
Okay.
gonna, they have a chief of staff or a staff member out this way we're hoping to meet with,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one more thing unrelated to the flooding? I own a business on Old William Penn Highway by Center Avenue where it hits. And I heard you say the county owns that road. So is there, it's the traffic on those bumps that is causing damage to cars. I watch accidents happen probably weekly in front of there. How do we get a stop sign either across from
Not
the
happening.
bar?
They said no.
How about a yield sign? Who said
Not
no, the
happening.
county?
County.
Okay,
It's
that's a
theirs.
county
We
thing?
Put in those requests and they've denied us.
Okay. I just never knew that history.
Yeah,
Everybody
they
talks
tried
about
for
it, so I was
lights,
curious.
stop signs, any kind of something, and the county says no.
They did not. They wouldn't even
Crazy.
let us put crosswalks across when the
Yeah.
Rivertown was open.
Yeah, it's crazy. Somebody's going to get killed.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies